Yo, welcome to V's Vibes, where hopefully we can catch a vibe, talk about anything y'all want to talk about, I want to talk about. Yo, this video has been a long time coming. As a lot of people know, I'm recovering from COVID. And so I did a little video diary just because people nosy. And also, for those that are not nosy, people have questions. And so I wanted to throw something together. I'm telling you, you'll see the progression of how I'm feeling over time. I've since tested negative, thank God for that, and I'm doing better. I'm still having a couple of symptoms. So even though you test negative, that mean that you just go scot symptom free. So I just kind of wanted to piece together a little video of how I was feeling over the last roughly 2 weeks. Not quite 2 weeks of dealing with COVID, but just 2 weeks of dealing with COVID. Go get go, go, go get go, go, go get go, go, go get go.
This is a remix, so throw your hands in the air, wave them all around like you just don't care. This is a remix, so throw your hands in the air, wave them all around like you just don't care.
Yo, I realized that I did not do a video for the last couple days of my COVID experience. I don't even know if should I even call it a COVID experience. A time I had COVID, I guess I'll just say. I just felt like I was being super repetitive. The symptoms were pretty much the same for like the last 3 or 4 days of my time with COVID. So I didn't do a new video, but I did want to kind of compile all of these and just see the progression over time. I've since tested negative for COVID, so I am negative for COVID, for whatever for whatever that means. I'm not contagious, and I can definitely leave my house, although it's not necessarily the most urgent thing that I'm thinking about right now, to be completely honest. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm 100% better, because just because you test positive doesn't mean that you're not still experiencing symptoms. And I think it's important for people to realize that once you test positive, you probably should still try to do all the things you were doing during the time. I'm sorry, I may have misspoke. Once you test negative, you should continue doing all the things that you were doing when you were testing positive. So as far as staying out of the damn way, to be completely honest, for the lack of a more refined answer, just staying out of the way. I know a lot of people have questions about COVID. I actually got some phone calls and some text messages from people that normally don't even call or text message me. So I know a lot of that had to do with curiosity. Some of it had to do with just hopping on the wave of, just hopping on the wave of showing concern when someone say they're sick. But yeah, I'm really open to questions. I think the main and the biggest question that a lot of people are going to have, and a lot of people did have, is just kind of where you got it from. And if I knew that, I would probably feel a lot better about the situation, or just a lot more solid about it. I don't know. Honestly don't know. There were a couple times where I was out unmasked. Not much. I really did, or what I felt like did, a good job of being masked. Pretty much masked all the time. I went to a couple of spots where I wasn't masked 100% of the time. And, I take full responsibility of that. With those situations, for those people that I knew that I was around, I certainly let them know that I had tested positive. But none of those people were sick. None of those people tested positive that actually went out to test. So I don't know if I got it from there or I took it there and got it from somewhere else. Although there was just a span of a 2-day period where I was not consistent in my masking. So I'm speculating that's where I got it from. But like I said, everybody that I was around, that I knew, there might have been people that I was around that I did not know, so I didn't have a way to contact them. I did my own contact tracing because you can't really depend on the system and the mechanisms that the health department had in place. And I'll talk about that in a minute too. But nobody else I knew tested positive. Nobody else I knew was sick. I'm very fortunate that I did not experience symptoms beyond the mild symptoms that I had. It was a lot of discomfort, and I'm very dramatic when I'm sick. So I did not feel well. I did not feel up to talking to people. I did not feel up to, making a grand announcement. I felt just bad, lethargic, nauseous. I experienced every single symptom that's posted, with the exception of fever. So, yeah, I'm gonna talk about that. So I experienced every single symptom with the exception of fever. And I know that the biggest thing people say and people do when you walk into their establishment, we walk into our schools, we walk into our workplaces, is they're taking temperatures. And I mean, I guess that's really the only thing that they can do to try to see if someone has COVID. But during my, I guess, roughly about 12 to 13 days of dealing with COVID, I never tested positive. I'm sorry, I'm tripping. I never had a fever the whole time. So, while I'm sure there's some science behind why they're checking temperatures and entries at different establishments and churches and schools and, events, I just know that wasn't my experience. And I'm sure if the truth be told, and if a lot of people really kind of sit down and think about all the real symptoms that they had, everybody can't say that they've experienced every single symptom. So of all the symptoms that I had, the ones that were worse for me because I'm greedy is when I lost my sense of taste and sense of smell. And honestly, I know I made a joke about it. It wasn't because I was hungry. It was the feeling that you have when you can't taste and smell. It's like this nauseating feeling of, you're hungry, but if you like me, if I can't taste it, I'm really not motivated to eat, because you eat because stuff tastes good. I'm sure there's some health nuts that's going to say you should eat to survive and, eat to be healthy. But the majority of Americans aren't eating to be healthy. We're eating because we're hungry and we want it to taste good, right? We don't want to eat anything that's nasty or anything that we can't taste. So my experience was just a lot of discomfort. So it was hunger pains because I wasn't eating enough. Of course, I was getting my fluids in, probably not as much as I should have. And that probably could have contributed to why I felt so tired and just, it was just a yucky feeling for probably a solid 3 or 4 days throughout my 8th day of me knowing that I was positive. I only experienced 8 days of symptoms, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't positive before that. And on day 10, I actually took another test and was negative. So that was my experience. I realize that's different for a lot of people. So the biggest question is, where did I get it from? I'm not sure. Another question is, what symptoms did I experience? I experienced every single symptom with the exception of a fever. And the one that really had me down the worst is when I lost my taste of smell and taste of taste. I don't know what I'm saying. My sense of taste and my sense of smell. That was the worst for me because it just made me feel yucky on top of dealing with cold symptoms. You know what I mean? On top of being very tired, on top of having chills. I could not get the temperature right in my house that was comfortable for me. I was either too hot or too cold. Most times too cold, even when my heat was up. At one time I turned my heat up to 82, and I know JEA was like, but I was so cold, and I'm not a cold natured person. So, I definitely know that had to do with just the symptoms of going through COVID. trying to think of anything else that was major. But yeah, just that yucky feeling for like 3 solid days of not really eating, not really having the energy to eat, not really having the motivation to eat. You can't really taste anything. It's weird. It's like you can taste around the rim of your tongue, right? We know our taste buds are on our tongue. I'm sure they might be, I don't know. I'm no scientist person. I might sound super ignorant right now, but my experience with this is I can taste around the rim of my tongue like a berry. So it was like, you know, you eating and you're really trying to get it so you can taste it and feel full. Because for me, if I can't taste it, it's weird. And I'm sure it's all mental and it has to do with my poor diet and appetite. But it was like, because I couldn't taste it, I didn't feel like I was getting full, and my body was still feeling hungry. And the you know, psychological, physiological things that go along with being hungry, right? And what that does to your body. And I'm like, gosh, I'm eating this soup. I can't taste this soup, and my body is still feeling like I'm hungry. It's just the weirdest feeling. So this video is super rough, and I'm really gonna keep it that way because why? So contact tracing. So I've taken, before I tested positive, I had taken 3 previous COVID tests. I took one back in July, very first one when they were still going way to the top of your brain, and some places still do out here. I took that one out at Avencia in Oatleaf area. At the time, they were one of the few sites that I knew about that were doing rapid testing, and I really wanted a rapid test. It was around 4th of July. I was about to be around family. And I also was about to be around my godkids who had been in the house since March, and their mom didn't ask me to take one. I just felt more comfortable having them over to the house if I had a test, because I had been out amongst people working. I still had to work during this time. I was wearing masks and I was being super safe, but around July is when I took my first test. It was negative. Boom. You took the test. They sent you a text message, you know, of your results. At that time, they actually took a physical picture of your paperwork. Sent it to your phone. My second test was at Regency, and I had been exposed by someone. So I wanted to take a test. Came back negative. Pretty much the same process, although the results were more advanced. They didn't take a picture of your results. They kind of, you know, sent it through your phone. My third test was, actually, have I taken 5? I think I've taken 5 tests. Okay, so my third test was a test at Legend Center. It was a rapid test. And they only swab like the lower part of your nose right here. And so, you know, initially, just from watching the news and stuff, I was like, this ain't no real test. They ain't go way up. And, you know, it came back negative or whatever. I had been exposed at Thanksgiving at that time. And now I'm to the time where, now, let me preface this by saying every single time, or the first time I took a test, I had no symptoms. The second time and the third time I took the test, I had symptoms. But I have symptoms every morning. Anybody that deal with sinus issues, you wake up every morning with a plethora of symptoms. I have to wake up hours and hours before it's time for me to go to work just to get my life together to be able to go to work and function. Because I'm always stopped up. I'm always got some type of sinus headache. I'm always just dealing with some type of sinus issues. So the first time I just kind of took it, you know what I mean, just to kind of take it. The second and the third time, after I had been exposed to people that had tested positive, I had taken it because I just wasn't sure, you know. And so I took it and I had symptoms, right? But, you know, I didn't think I actually had it. Now, this fourth time I took it, I had been a little bit irresponsible, was out not being consistent with my mask, not amongst a whole lot of people. I wasn't at no concert or nothing crazy. Just amongst people that, you be around all the time, and just was not consistent with my mask. And I don't know exactly where I got it, and I've already said that before. If I knew that, I'd feel a little bit better, but I don't know. Nothing I can do about it. I've gotten over it at this point, right? And that was about 2 days. 2 days later, literally like clockwork, symptoms. Woke up with symptoms, right? And again, I wake up every morning with symptoms, so it wasn't that odd. The difference in how I felt like I had COVID this time, it's a different feeling. Like, it does something to your energy that I can't really explain, other than saying it really affects and drains you. So while I woke up with symptoms, I also woke up 5 o'clock in the morning after having, 6-7 hours of sleep, exhausted. And I was like, gosh, I got enough sleep, so why am I so tired? Now, with that being said, because I am dramatic, because I always wake up with symptoms, I did something that I never done before, and that's not made a big deal out of it. And that's where I went wrong, I think. I always make a big deal out of stuff. By nature of dealing with anxiety, I make a big deal out of stuff. But I'm working on me, right? So I'm like, I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. I wake up with symptoms every morning. It's nothing. I took my happy hips to work. Now, I do have my own office, and lately I've been closing my door. I'm always masked up if I'm not in my office. And when people come in my office, they're masked up. Sometimes when they come in my office, I'm not masked up because I'm in my office with the door closed. I'm not going to be in there with a mask on, barely can breathe while I'm working, right? So that was Monday. So I texted a nurse friend of mine, asked him some questions. I still did not immediately think anything, but I was very tired. Tuesday, pretty much the same thing happened. I woke up super, super tired. Took my happy hips to work. I worked again in my office by myself, isolated. Nobody's there. Got on my mask, goes out of my office. I got on my, so I know I didn't get it from work, and I know I didn't give it to anybody at work. All right. So let me say that. I will say again, I really need to check the dates, because I may have gone to a basketball game. Again, masked up. They don't let you in without a mask. But I'm just trying to, retract my steps. One of those days, I either went to a basketball game, or I was going to go to a basketball game. I really do need to look back at my calendar, and I'll probably do that before I end this video, just to kind of pinpoint some things. Because again, like a lot of it is like, God, where did I get it from? But I know particularly there were 2 days that I was not consistent with my mask. I was around some people. Some I knew, some I didn't know. Some were masked, some were not. Most were not masked. And just, I was irresponsible. I can't even put it on anybody else, right? So that was Tuesday. Wednesday morning. Now, throughout these 2 days, I typically take medicine if I have sinus symptoms that don't go away after a couple hours in the morning. So I might, if I wake up at 5 and around 7:30, 8 o'clock, I'm still like in the thick of it, I'm like, I need to take medicine. So I took medicine Monday, Tuesday, and typically that'll knock it out. I might wake up the next morning, a little sniffle here or there, but I get it together and I don't have a lingering headache. A headache is how I kind of know that I'm going to have to take medicine or not. Once I get that sinus headache, it's a wrap for me. Woke up Wednesday, sinus headache. I've been taking medicine 2 consecutive days. I've been coming home and just crashing because I was so exhausted. Or I went to a basketball game. I can't remember. I'll look and kind of clarify that in a minute. Wednesday, I woke up feeling the same way. I said, you know what? I don't feel good. Like, it kind of hit me that it was beyond just my regular sinus issues. I was like, all right, I got an infection or something. I need to go to urgent care. I need to go to the doctor. Something's not right. So, you know, moving very slow, feeling very bad. It's hard for me to describe how I was feeling because it's not like any feeling I've ever had before. I am not the healthiest person, so I've dealt with different sicknesses as far as let me retract that. I've never dealt with any major sicknesses, but I can catch a cold by looking outside if it's cold. Like that's how that's how poor sometimes I feel like my immune system is. And I know there's things that I can do to make that better. But saying all that to say, I was just not well. I felt bad. And so my goal was to get up and go get tested, get a COVID test. And if that was negative, then I was going to call the doctor and, you know, get an appointment for some antibiotics or a Z-Pack or whatever, because I knew that, you know, I wasn't well. I just knew that I wasn't well. So I got up, piddling around, moving slow. You know, the testing site that I normally go to is Legend Center on Suta. Get your results back in 15, 20 minutes. They have a really good system there. Line is always moving. You know, my goal was to get up there around 9-ish, you know. But when I knew I didn't feel well, I just could not get it in gear. Then I get a call from a good friend of mine who I was out with one of those 2 days that I was out, kind of masked, kind of unmasked. Actually, the day I was out with her, I was more masked than the night before. But she called and she said, "Hey, just letting you know, this event that you went to with me, two people tested positive. And I knew that you were sick, so I feel horrible, that I exposed you to COVID. And, immediately, because she's one of my best friends and an amazing person, and nowhere in my body did I put any blame on her because I'm grown. And I was masked mostly when I was with her and around some people that we didn't know. Immediately took that off her, and so she said that 2 people tested positive. Everybody else was going to get tested. She was going to get tested that afternoon. And I said, you know what? I was headed to go get tested. And so when I went, I went pretty much same process, stood in line, got my test done. And as I'm pulling back into my driveway, I opened my phone. My results are ready. And it said positive. And I got lightheaded for a minute. I was sick. I felt like I might have had it. And it was super surreal when you actually see it, especially after I had been taking, that was I think my 4th test at that time. I've since taken 5 now, but, and if you hear, I'm still kind of nasal. I'm not 100% better. So that's why I kind of still been staying home and not around anybody. Long story short, I tested positive, and immediately when I tested positive on that particular date, everything shut down for me. I literally said, forget Christmas, forget everything, forget any shopping that I had that wasn't Amazon. And I locked myself in my house. I text her, my friend, to let her know. I text, of course, my closest friends, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, a couple, my coworkers, because I had been around them earlier that week. We were all masked and distanced, but I did let them know just in case they wanted to get tested, and that was it for me. I realized how easy it is to contract it. I've been watching the news. I've been super safe. I've been moderately safe this whole time, and I know that it's taken the lives of over 330,000 people. So I knew that it was real. I see people now, if it affects them, they're like, oh, COVID is real. I knew COVID was real. It was never a time where I didn't know it was real. It's just, I think it becomes, you get fatigued. And I think there's some term that's floating around social media and floating around the news, COVID fatigue or quarantine fatigue, or whatever it is. You get really fatigued, and you feel as though you sacrificed so much this year. And so I think for me, although I don't know when I contracted it, but it was probably a time when I didn't have my mask on. And it was the only day since March that not even a whole day, a couple of hours. Let me just kind of frame that, because y'all kind of judgy when it comes to people that catch corona. That's why I'm not sure if I'm gonna post this video. It was a couple of hours and I was just like, gosh, I just need to have fun. And if you've had a year like me, 2020 has been like that for everybody, but for me it's been like since 2018. I just had just a crappy couple of years, and I just was around people that I typically have fun around, and you know, just a lapse in judgment, really, completely honest. And I take full responsibility, don't put it on anybody. I just got tired. When you get tired of, like, and your outfit don't look good with a mask, that was really superficial. But I'm just telling you how a lot of people think. And if you are not necessarily how do I want to say this, if you let's just say there's times and things that you just make poor judgment. You know, you make bad decisions, and that's typically what I did. Kind of got off track on where I was going with this, but pretty much shut down, locked myself in the house, did not allow anybody in. I did not go out. I barely went out to check the mail. I barely went out to pull my trash cans in. Actually, one of my best friends, her husband came over and pulled my trash cans in. I always know I have amazing friends, and I only have a few, but like I wish I had a way that I can kind of show them how much I appreciate, how much they just kind of not even stepped up, because I wouldn't really expect anything else, but it was just, it's endearing. And my brother, like, you know, we're not necessarily the emotional type of family, but I was really just touched by him reaching out to me on Christmas. And I think midway through him doing a DJ ride out that no one asked him for, that I realized what he was doing. I was like, that's dope, you know. And so just you know, grateful that I'm still here, grateful that I got through it, grateful for my family and my friends. When you live alone, and I spent a lot of time alone anyway, it was very tough mentally. Beyond the physical things that's happening to your body, that you're trying to get together, your piece of medicines together, because you don't know. There's no one medicine that's going to help you feel better. So you really experimenting on yourself. I have high blood pressure, so I can't take a whole lot of different cold medicines. And everybody's a nurse and a doctor when you get COVID, and everybody's telling you all this stuff to take, but they don't know your medical history. So I'm grateful, but it was really a lot of useless information that I received, because I am a lot of things, but I am not about to put a whole lot of foreign stuff in my body when I'm already dealing with high blood pressure. So it was tough. It was tough. I'm grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful that I'm here to tell y'all. Hopefully this is helping somebody. If it's just a whole lot of me rambling, I'm sorry. Typically my videos aren't this long, but you know, a lot of people have questions, and a lot of people are super passive aggressive when they're texting me about me being sick. And I realize the stigma that comes along with a lot of things, and somehow COVID has become one of those things where, you know, if you get it, it's because you were not being responsible. And in my case, that was the truth. But in some people's cases, it's not. You know, we have healthcare professionals out here that's really taking care of our grandparents and our great-grandparents and other older people. And they're contracting it because they're really just out here trying to help. So I think we need to take the stigma off. I think we need to be safe. I think we need to mind our business, you know, make sure that you're safe, the people in your house are safe. And if you leave your house, there is a possibility, even wearing a mask, that you can get COVID. And I think more people need to talk about that as well. I think people need to talk about the fatigue and figure out ways in which we can still have fun, but be safe. I think we need to stop putting people on blast that's going to these public events, or don't put them on blast publicly, because you come across super judgy. And You're not perfect. So, you know, we just got to think about these things. I'm not making excuses for me. I was irresponsible. I'm going to take mine, you know, but I don't think that's everybody's story, or I don't think everybody's setting out to be irresponsible. I think some people just don't know we don't know how to manage this. This is new. So, felt like I had given you guys, you know, some spotty videos, with my COVID experience, and, you know, there are no rules to how I was feeling. So, you know, some days I felt like recording, some days I just did not feel like picking up a phone, and talking to anybody. So I wanted to kind of full circle or double back or whatever you call, close this out and have a good sense of completion of my story. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. What I'm not here for is to get COVID ever again. So I'm going to try my best to make better decisions and just stay in the house, you know, stay in the house to the extent possible. I do have to go back to work on Monday. Our government did a shitty job of taking care of us during this time, and no matter who you voted for, you know, you gotta see that. So, excuse my language, but we shouldn't have to decide whether we work or get COVID. It's not okay. So that's my 2 cents on politics, because I try to stay out of it. As far as publicly, I definitely am not a supporter of the current administration. I don't think that's a secret, but I don't really talk about it that much. That's my business. But I do think it's important to just see, you know, people lost their jobs and they really going months and weeks trying to debate on whether they want to give y'all $600. $600. These people, we voted in office. Y'all voted in office. Like, we got to do better. We really do got to do better. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm going to end that. Hopefully, man, y'all are good. Y'all are blessed. I am okay. I'm well. I'm fortunate. I couldn't ask for a better support system. I love y'all. As always, it's a vibe.
Go get 'em, go get 'em, go get 'em, go get 'em. This is a remix, so throw your hands in the air, wave 'em all around like you just don't care. This is a remix, so throw your hands in the air, wave 'em all around like you just don't care.